Unfortunately, if you're thinking about buying a home this year, you're going to face 3 stiff headwinds, each of which on their own would present a big challenge to you. First is that home prices in the United States are remaining stubbornly high. In fact, it seems that each month, home prices are reporting new all-time highs. The second is our choice of homes. Inventory of homes is at an all-time low. So prices are high and we don't have a lot of choices to make sure that we choose the house that's right for us. And this is, for most of us, is going to be the most significant purchase that we do. And it tends to be expensive to change homes later. And then the third one, of course, is interest rates. Mortgage rates continue to stay above 7%. And there's really no sign in the near future that that's going to go down. People have been thinking for a long time that interest rates are going to be going down, and they've remained stubbornly high. So do I think that now is a good time to buy a home? I'm a financial advisor. I'm going to turn to the experts, which I think any good financial advisor should do. Who's the experts in this? And one of the experts is a group called Fannie Mae. And Fannie Mae does a survey of consumers every year. And according to their most recent survey, which just came out, you can see this report is from June of 2024. The headline is Home Buying Sentiment Hits a New Survey Low. And so 86% of consumers say that now is not a good time to buy a home. And almost 2/3 of the consumers say, if you have a home, now's a great time to sell it. So the last time the consumer sentiment was this low was at the tail end of the financial crisis, just before real estate was starting to come back. Now, as somebody that works in the stock market, I can tell you, oftentimes the crowd is wrong. And when people are most pessimistic is when there can be buying opportunities. But that typically comes with prices having come down. Think of the great financial crisis. Peak to trough, from the high to the low, almost a 60% drop in the S&P 500. So Warren Buffett is famous for saying, be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. But when others are fearful is when prices come down. They become forced sellers in a down market and drive down prices below their intrinsic value. Are housing prices right now below their intrinsic value? I don't think so. It certainly doesn't feel that way. And the fact that homes are at all-time highs month after month after month would tell me, nobody's panicking now and selling because they can't take the pain anymore. Prices are not coming down. So just because the crowd is saying that now is not a good time to buy a home, I think that's actually wisdom. I think the crowd has wisdom in this case. So that's that survey. And let's look at the people that did buy new homes. How do they feel now a year later, 2 years later? So this report talks about millennials buying homes. This is from Newsweek, and this was published in January of 2024. The headline reads, Millennials Regret Buying Homes. And it goes on to say that a whopping 90% of millennials have regrets about their first home purchase, according to this survey. Now, admittedly, the source is called Real Estate Witch, and this is a slight increase. So the people that did buy homes in 2023, because this report came out in January of 24, even though they did buy a home, even though home prices have likely gone up since they bought, they look back and 90% of them say that they have regrets buying a home. So let's look at this. What happens if we go back to the 2021-2022 buying season? So most people that bought in that time period, 2021 and 2022, had the benefits of gain in 2023, and as I record this, the first half of 2024. But here's an article in MoneyWise, and here the quote is, I was kind of swept up. Nearly 3 in 4 home buyers who bought during the pandemic regret it now. And then they go on to talk about here's how to ensure that you won't regret it. But according to this article, nearly 3/4 of Americans who purchased homes in 2021 and 2022 have regrets, according to Anytime Estimates American Home Buyer Survey, which was released in September of 2022. So even people that bought before, while the prices were going on and they've had the benefit of new all-time highs and the price of their home continuing to go up, even they have regrets. So why is it that they have regrets? I think it's important that we look at this. Now, importantly, these are first-time home buyers. So some of these things were surprises to the home buyers. For those of us that have owned homes in the past, they're not as big of a surprise. But let's go through this. So Yahoo Finance published an article in 2023. It's 6 reasons why 93% of home buyers have regrets about purchasing a home in 2023. Okay, the main regrets was maintenance costs and the hassle of that. And certainly the cost of maintenance is going up, right? It's harder. The U.S. has full employment, which is a great thing. But because of that, labor costs are going up. And I think that's a good thing. I want people that are working hard for their money, particularly laborers, to be paid a livable wage. So labor costs are going up, material costs are going up because of inflation. So the maintenance cost has gone up. So that was the first reason. The second reason people cited was they bought too quickly. There's kind of this feeling you have to act now because there's not a lot of opportunities. I think that's to buy a home because inventory is so low. I think that's still going on today. The third reason is they felt that they spent too much money. And I think that's valid, right? You get into a bidding war and sometimes you can have what I call incremental thinking. So, yes, our top price, I'm just going to make up a number, was $450,000. But you know what? We can probably make $500,000 worth. Well, that's $50,000. And the challenge with buying real estate is that's a big purchase for any of us. But because it's tied into a mortgage that we're going to pay off over 30 years, we might say, well, that's only an extra $200 a month or whatever it is over that 30-year period. So people regret feeling like they paid too much. They're sad that interest rates are still high. They have a regret that interest rates are high. I think many people thought that rates would go back down by now, and they still haven't. The fifth reason is some people, to save money, bought a fixer-upper, and frankly, it was more costly, it was more of a hassle than what they thought it was going to be. And then the sixth reason is they felt pressured to make an offer, either by other family members or more likely by their real estate agents, right? Real estate agents, for the most part, only make money when a transaction takes place, when a home is bought, when a home is sold. So they have an incentive to pressure us and say, well, you can make this work. Let's talk to the banker. The banker says they'll give you an extra $50,000. And so they felt pressured to make an offer. Now, my take, I'm going to add to this, having been a financial advisor now for over 20 years, having talked to dozens and dozens of people as they make this buying decision over the last 5-6 years, that the real estate market has really taken off. I think my clients tend to be older, so I think some of the regrets that I see from them is they made a compromise on the home that they bought. They didn't get the home that they really were going out and buying and going out shopping for. They had to make compromises because inventory is so low. And it's expensive and it's a big hassle to change your home. So that's one of the things that I see. The other thing, frankly, is just the cost of owning a home has gone up, and primarily one of the main costs that have gone up, we talked earlier about the maintenance of the home. That's gone up. But you know what else has gone up? Is the property insurance on a home. That has gone up. And in some places, it's gotten very hard to find an insurer that will sell property insurance, depending on where you're at. You can tell here I'm in a mountain town. And in some mountain towns, because of the fire danger, it's really hard to get insurance. So if you can get insurance, it tends to be more expensive than it was a couple years ago. So that's what I see as regrets. Now, will you regret buying a home in 2024? The reality is I don't have a crystal ball. And anybody that pretends like they know for sure, it's just lying for you, because none of us know. Could prices continue to go up? Could you be building equity if you bought a house this year? It could happen. I would say the odds are stacked against you. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But because prices have already had a huge run up in price, and because right now part of what's holding up prices is inventory being so low, it's going to be interesting to see what happens if and when interest rates drop and more people are willing to sell their current home and give up their current low mortgage rate to buy a new home. Now, I don't think mortgage rates are going back down to the 2.5% to 3.5% that was readily available 3 or 4 years ago as I record this. So because of that, people that have mortgages at 2.5% or 3%, even 3.5%, they may still be reluctant to sell unless they have to because of a job relocation or something like that. They may say, you know what, I wish this had an extra bedroom, but we're going to do an add-on. They may say, I wish it had a different layout for the kitchen, but they're going to do a remodel. Things like that. I think people are incentivized to hold on to their homes if they have a 2.5%, 3.5% mortgage. So I don't think there's going to be a flood of inventory coming on, but I do think there are people that when interest rates start coming back down, let's say interest rates get down to 4.5% or 5%, I do think we'll see more inventory, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Traditionally, what would happen is as interest rates go down, that would be an incentive for house prices to even go higher. So we're in a really unique time where lower interest rates may increase inventory, but it would be balanced out by the fact that money is less expensive, so people can afford a bigger mortgage, and that might drive up real estate prices. So I want to, the reason that you buy a home is not just for an investment. This video has been very investment heavy. But for instance, I bought a home at the peak of the last real estate drive up in price, which was just before the great financial crisis. And I told my wife at the time, I said, we could very well be buying at the high. And in our case, we were. And we were negative on that house for 6 or 7 years. The value of the house, if we had sold it, would have been lower than what we had paid. But I was buying not just a house, I was buying a home to raise my family in. We liked the neighborhood, we liked the neighbors, we liked the school district, we liked the town. That's where we wanted to raise our kids. And fingers crossed, back then, I was hoping to own that home for like 20 years. And I felt that over the arc of time, over a 20-year period, we would do well with that house. And fortunately, that's how things turned out. So again, this video has been heavy on the financial aspects of things, but there's more to it than just finances, just like in life. And that's why I also talk a lot about in your life, how do you get the most out of your life? And as a financial advisor, not from the financial side, but to optimize on life as opposed to your bank account. And that's why I made this video here. 7 things to stop doing in your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy your journey until retirement. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in that one. Bye-bye.